13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's Friday night, Jason.
We got to dance. We'll dance on Friday.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea, episode 182. For those who are counting, it is a Friday night. It is a Friday night dance party at Granny's Peach Tea, which always seems to find a way to happen. And we're excited to be here tonight to talk about a lot of cool stuff we got. We got 3 episodes of DC Studios' premiere project in Creature Commandos, and the moment everyone's been waiting for, the latest installment, the Sony Spider-less Spider-Verse. We share our thoughts with Kraven Hunt. So thank you for joining us. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, or if you're joining us on the audio-only podcast, wherever, we always appreciate the support. I am Ed, and with me as always is Jason. Jason, what is up? What's going on, man? You look festive tonight.
I'm very festive. I'm celebrating. And Ed, do you know what I'm celebrating? Can you guess what I'm celebrating and why I'm dancing with such gusto?
I have a feeling. I do have a feeling what you're celebrating. And it's Friday the 13th. That's what it is, right?
It is. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut tonight short because I got to be up in Jersey to kill some campers, and my knees aren't what they used to be,
Oh, okay. I thought you were taking a
Actually,
boat
I
ride
make
to
that joke.
Vancouver.
Well, I was going to take New York, but Vancouver is so far out of the way.
I understand. I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. But yeah, happy Friday the 13th. I use that joke with my kids all the time at school. They're always like, because I don't hide my first name. I mean, Ed, we went to a high school. We called our teachers by their first name. So it's not, they know my name. The only secret is my middle name. And that's just because I enjoy messing with them. But, so I tell them, guys, I got to cut out of here early because I'm busy tonight. I do it every Friday the 13th. They never catch on. What are you busy with, Mr. Vashetic? I'm like, I got to go run up to Jersey. I got to kill a bunch of campers, a bunch of teenagers. You guys are lucky you don't live in Jersey. I wouldn't want to do that to you. Anyway, and then they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, you've never seen Friday the 13th?
And unfortunately, their response would probably upset you.
Well, no. I mean, they still know who he is, but as an IP, they probably have not seen those movies.
Which is a shame. I will say. And listen, maybe they'll catch it on a marathon. I didn't look, but I'm guessing Sci-Fi or usually AMC is the culprit or HBO. Somebody's got to be running a Friday the 13th marathon today. I assume it always happens.
It has to. I think there's a Friday the 13th marathon literally every other day. I mean, between, as you said, AMC, Sci-Fi, does Turner still have networks, right? Was it TNT and shit like that?
I don't know, because TNT and TBS started turning to, dare I say, the term's going to sound weird, but I know, you know what I mean. Real networks. They have, live sports now and, other stuff besides just kind of, reruns. I don't know. I know. That was a shot, right? It came bad. It came out bad.
Wow. Yeah. All right. No, it's that. I know what you mean, though. Look, TNT and TBS were great channels growing up because I could watch at any given moment a James Bond movie, a rerun of Little House on the Prairie, a fucking marathon of Star Trek. Anything was possible on those channels except for new content. But who needs new content? We are literally in a renaissance of nostalgia. We don't want new content now. We didn't want it then. So God bless you, TBS and TNT.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like, obviously TNT is the one that has they have AEW wrestling, I believe. So they're still in that business because they used to have WCW back in the day. And it's good to see that hasn't gone away. But yeah. Oh, yeah. No, all right. Dude, I want to get to it, man, because we got some interesting stuff to talk about. So
we do.
First up, and I'm going to drop that spoiler warning because part of this is going to be very spoilery, being that episode 3 just dropped 24 hours ago. James Gunn's brand new DC universe had launched a week ago with Creature Commandos. They decided to kick this thing off with like the soft opening, we'll call it, before Superman drops in next July. And that's like the big launching, like the first movie they're going to have. But for first out of the gate is Creature Commandos. And remember, in this shared universe that James Gunn is building, he has said everything is going to be connected except Matt Reeves' Batman stuff. His universe is separate. There will be Elseworld stuff, supposedly. But the shared universe portion, this is a part of it. So people who are voicing these characters that we meet are playing them in real life. So there is that. And another interesting choice is we get previous content, though, is being acknowledged as canon. And James Gunn basically said recently in an interview, if we acknowledge the events, it's canon. So I guess we're going to cherry pick over it as it goes. And not so coincidentally, the stuff he's done recently is canon so far, as we find out in the first 10-15 minutes of episode 1 of Creature Commandos. So now we've set the table with that. We can just do some overall thoughts before we dig into the details, because I kind of feel like these are 22-minute episodes, and it kind of feels like we can probably address it as one episode, more or less, because I feel like it's short enough and links together. So,
absolutely. What
did you think? What was your first impression of the new DC universe and the show itself?
I dig the show. I do dig the show. First two episodes didn't hook me as much as the third one did. I think there are two things that rub me the wrong way, and I'm going to get those out of the way because then I'm going to talk about all the good things I liked. The fact that I love James Gunn, but the fact that he put himself in the opening credits, to me, just kind of like stinks of like, oh God, he's like in love with his own fucking work, and it's like, no, Gunn, no, don't go down that path. Keep doing good stuff. Don't be in love with your own lore. Anyway, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I didn't really like that. Second thing, and this is likely more to do with the source material, which I'm not familiar with. So this is my first interaction with it. But the Bride and Frankenstein, having them kind of around, and some of these characters, it has a very League of Extraordinary Gentlemen feel. Mm-hmm. Which I think for me detracted a bit because the movie is not that great. We'll cover it eventually here, but like the comic book itself, we will. I'm excited. I'm actually excited for the Alan Moore stuff. Mm-hmm. But like, so the Bride was a cool character, but it just didn't feel original to me because it felt like kind of a retreading of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Having said that, I think the opening is super cool. I really enjoyed the other characters we got. I fucking love G.I. Robot, and his episode hooked me. Like that was. We'll get into it when we do the breakdown, but his episode made me go, "All right, now we're cooking." And also, anyone who's watched the show before knows it takes at least 3 or 4 episodes for me to get on board with a cartoon. So that likely is also figuring into it because I'm just not a cartoon person. But having said all that, overall, I think I'm into this so far. That third one really hooked me, and I'm also excited because I realize the structure is going to be we're on this mission, but each episode is not really the mission. It's a dive into the character. Either backstory or what they're going through now. And when I realized that intrigued me, because we go, oh, okay, they are taking a new turn, a new twist on this. Because I was also afraid that it was like, we know James Gunn can do a great Suicide Squad, but I kind of wanted a bit of assurance he can do something else his first time out of the gate. And at first I was like, this feels like Suicide Squad. But now that I'm seeing he's playing around with narrative structure, I'm more into it. So yeah, so those are my initial thoughts.
All right. I'm going to throw it out there and just say, listen, this show kind of hooked me from the get-go.
Nice.
It does feel so far kind of like another Suicide Squad, if I'm going to be completely honest, which is fine. By the tone is very James Gunn, the storytelling, the writing, like it's all James Gunn, and that's fine. That's who wrote it. That's who created the show. I'm all good with that. That's not a knock in any way. It just feels like it does feel very Suicide Squad with different characters, and they do a good job explaining it and introducing us to the team in the first episode and first 5 minutes, and we're off and running then, right? But I agree. I kind of like the structure of at least this season. Introducing us to each of these characters, like that we're getting backstories through flashbacks, and I think it's an interesting way of doing it, especially the stuff with the bride and the stuff with GI Robot. And I'm actually very interested to see the other characters getting theirs. I'm with you 100%. GI Robot is my favorite member of the team so far, as well.
Yeah.
But I do find the whole Frankenstein story behind the bride, I personally feel it fascinating, because I'm not that familiar with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, so I can't speak on that. I have no real knowledge of it, so I don't know if this is the kind of twist they did in that as well. But I do know that in DC Comics, this stuff is this is the DC Frankenstein and story that they've taken, kind of like how Marvel took Thor and Loki and all of that, and they kind of made their own twist from outside stuff. Yeah, so I guess this is you could say, in a way, it's kind of what they did with that. And yeah, I don't know, and I like the fact that they did, address again a couple of my questions immediately in episode 1 regarding the continuity thing and what was going to be and what wasn't going to be. And, I thought that was cool. Yeah, so I think overall I'm on board. The violent nature of it, the completely R-rated nature of the show, I do appreciate it as well. Yeah, it's not a kiddie version at all. So if you shouldn't be watching this with your kids, I mean, that's up to you. But like, it's not a kid-friendly show at all, because of the violence and the cursing, and we see there is sex in 2 scenes already in the first 3 episodes.
There is. This is an adult show. It's a cartoon, but it's an adult show.
Yeah, and just to get that right away. But I think it's off to a pretty awesome start. I just think I am fascinated, though, to see what we're getting next July with Superman. Because James Gunn wrote and directed that as well.
I am too.
So I want to know, how are you going to bring us Superman now, when we've kind of seen your Suicide Squad DC stuff so far? That's not, Superman's drastically different. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. How is that going to be presented to us?
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I think that's what I said. Like, my concern is like, all right, I know you can do a Suicide Squad, but can you do other things? Because I know he's at the helm, and I want to get some good movies. I was not a fan of the Snyderverse. I've said that a million times here. I didn't get out of it what a lot of fans got out of it. I want to get something out of this. So I want him to do a really good job with this. And but I also am a very big James Gunn fan. So, I kind of like, I'll go see it, no matter what the trailers look like, no matter what the responses look like. Even if I wasn't doing the show, I'd go see it, because I got to give it a fair shot. But seeing this, I think, and the way he kind of explores some of these characters, it's not all just hack and slash James Gunn. So I am kind of
no.
Looking forward to his twist.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some differences because even like with Peacemaker's not exactly Suicide Squad. It is different.
No,
it isn't. Yeah. But again, it's just ragtag team of misfits, like we saw him do with Guardians of the Galaxy as well. That's why. It's just that he's done Guardians of the Galaxy. He's done, yeah, which is fine. I mean, hey, I like all of it. I love everything he's done with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a little bummed that we're not going to see more from that. Well, who knows? Maybe that gets worked out one day down the line. But I'm enjoying what we've got so far. Okay.
Yeah, same.
So we can hit through this then. Yes, we do meet the team. Amanda Waller is talking to Rick Flag Sr. because Rick Flag Jr. is dead. Like they acknowledge the events of the Suicide Squad and a battle with Starro and everything like that. And as we saw, Peacemaker killed him, and that. And then also Amanda Waller acknowledged she was outed by her daughter because Rick Flag Sr. mentions it, and that happened in Peacemaker.
That's right.
So we do have those acknowledgments, and she explains why because Rick Flag Sr. was like, I thought we couldn't do this kind of stuff anymore. You were shut down, and she's like, well, we can't use humans, but we can use monsters, and we have some creatures that are all locked up, and we're going to call it Task Force M instead of X. And boom, so we meet the team, we get the bride, right? They tell you right off the bat exactly what it is.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, I appreciate it. You're addressing my questions immediately.
Yep. No, I appreciate that too, and I like that they address it right away, get it out of the way, and now you can get into the show. You're not coming to the show with baggage. You leave your baggage at the door and just enjoy what you're going to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And now they have a mission, and Rick Flag Sr. takes the place of Junior to lead this team of ragtag misfits on a mission for the U.S. government in this. And Amanda Waller sending him on, and it's another like political type thing because the Sons of Themyscira are running amok in Europe, who are being led by a character named Cersei, who is an outcast of Themyscira, and she claims she has a right to the throne. She's going to be on her way. She's got her group of morons, if you want to basically call them, who are being promised that they're going to be led into Themyscira, a land full of all women, and they're going to be able to get what it is that they want, right? And the U.S. government has to help out this country because they have it was like a petroleum deal or something like they need, resources. And Amanda Waller addresses that right away. We got to hook them up and we got to take care of them because we have to build our relationship with them. And she gives him a team. And it is the bride, who is the bride of Frankenstein, right? We get G.I. Robot, who is a AI robot from World War II, who is programmed for the single purpose of murdering Nazis.
Killing Nazis.
And my
love that so much.
Dude, it is insane. He has me cracking up
his episode
every fucking time.
Dude, his episode is brilliant. Just the moment. We'll get to it. I can't wait to talk about that moment, though.
We got Nina Marzarski, who is basically like a fish woman who has a little helmet and everything in the suit that she has to keep herself underwater. And she's the one who's the closest to being a human. And we also get Weasel, who was on Task Force X, who is now here and continuing to do Weasel things. Also voiced by Sean Gunn.
And they do actually address like, oh, he was one of the only survivors of the last movie. And when I tell you, I cannot wait to get his backstory episode because they did this in the movie and they did this again. Like, well, he killed 5 children. Like they talk him, he killed 5 children. He's the worst of the fucking worst. I gotta see what his backstory is. I gotta see who these 5 children were.
Yeah, and I based on the trailer for episode 4, I do think that's I know that's the Weasel episode. So we're gonna find that out next.
I'm excited
for next week. Me too. Because we've heard, you're right. They've painted him as like, even though he's this off the wall character and everything like that, who's always doing he looks weird. He's doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
But yet in episode 3, he really comes through. Like, that's the first time he like really makes his presence be known. So that's the mission that's there. So the group goes over and they meet this princess and stuff like that, and they have this whole conversation, and they're going to protect her, and she kind of makes some advances at Rick Flag Sr. that pay off in episode 2, but he's kind of trying to keep it professional for a little while, and when he has GI Robot set up outside to protect her over the night, and he's basically telling his own war stories of how many Nazis he's killed.
It's all he does. It's all about killing Nazis.
That's it. He's scanning for Nazis. He's checking everyone out. He keeps asking Rick Flag and anyone else around, is this person a Nazi? Is this one a filthy Nazi? Because he just wants to murder them.
But when we get to episode 3, there is this beautiful moment where he's just like, I was programmed for one thing, and that was to kill Nazis. And all I want to do in life is to kill Nazis with my friends. But it's like, if that's all you're programmed for, that's beautiful.
Yeah, we find that in episode 3. Like, he is an early AI. That was his singular purpose. So that's what brings him joy, essentially, right? Like, that's generally, that's the thing. His giddiness about killing Nazis and how much he's like sad when he's not killing Nazis is what makes it for me.
And just how he lights up, and it happens twice, how he lights up when there are Nazis around.
Absolutely. He is like a fucking kid in a candy store.
He really is. He's so funny.
So yeah, then we see Nina.
We also have the character Alan Tudyk plays, right? He's also the skull face guy. What's his name?
Yes, Dr. Prosperous.
Dr. Phosphorus, right. So he's another one of the team I don't think we mentioned before.
Yeah, sorry. He was the one person. Dr. Phosphorus, basically, he's a light-up skull kind of thing, Ghost Rider-looking type, and he will burn your skin off, basically, if he fucking makes contact with you. And apparently, if you're in his vicinity, that radiation, you'll go sterile. If you're a man, if you're around too long from him, and that's basically your thing. And that is brought to Rick Flag Sr.'s attention by Amanda Waller.
Yep. What she says, free vasectomy.
Yeah, basically. So the bride and Nina take off during the night because the bride has somewhere she wants to go. She's like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And the way she carries herself, I think, is also great. She's just like, I don't know, kind of like a certified asshole, the way she's talking to everybody.
I do like the characterization.
Yeah, and they're talking to the security guard, and Nina's trying to like smooth it over and make sure it's nice, and she's yelling from a distance like, nope, I didn't mean any of that. Not at all. I was not trying to be nice to you whatsoever. Fuck you. Like, get lost. And they go off, and they go on to the Castle of Frankenstein is where they're off to. And the woman who's there, who apparently witnesses this, calls Frankenstein while he's on a yacht somewhere, apparently, and tells him that she is returned. And that will get paid off, I'm sure, down the line. Not in the episodes we're covering, but it's interesting to kind of see that. Which, by the way, Frankenstein, or he's Eric Frankenstein in this. He's voiced by David Harbour. So once again, more David Harbour.
Yes, that's right, David Harbour. That's right, David Harbour, baby.
Always David Harbour. And then Rick he's sleeping and catches Dr. Phosphorus trying to get the remote to because they don't have things in their head that's going to explode them. Apparently, it's going to shock the shit out of them, and it hurts an insane amount. Right. So the point where the bride even acknowledges it's pretty fucking painful, and she's been through some shit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like she was born from electricity, and then she can't deal with it.
Yeah. And they get into this raging fight that goes on fucking everywhere throughout this entire place. And the ending of that fight is kind of where episode 1 leaves off, more or less, which leads directly right into episode 2. Where episode 2 is the bride's episode, right? That's where it is a lot of focus on her, and we get her backstory in an interesting way. And apparently, back in 1831, Victor Frankenstein, the doctor, follow me here, he created. Yeah, because they do differentiate between this, which I kind of like. It's Victor Frankenstein and Eric Frankenstein. Yeah.
Yep.
And they have a very father-son relationship. And he's like, hey, man, you created me. I want to have love. That's it. Kind of somewhat innocently, it starts off with he wants someone to love and wants his father to create a woman for him. Get some leftover parts from a local morgue, builds them together, builds this woman for him, brings her to life. She needs to be learned. She needs to be taught from basically like a child. And that relationship goes in an awkward way, which turns into they kind of like fall for each other. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. And Eric Frankenstein, the monster, walks in on it and flips the fuck out. He loses it and ends up murdering Victor Frankenstein in a really fucked up way.
Yep. Yeah.
Right? Like he fucking mangles him on his
he destroys him, and then he turns to her and is like, well, now that obstacle's out of our way, we can be together. And she's like, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. Like totally pushes him off.
Right. And then that starts the flashback, right? Of them through the ages, which that's my favorite part of this episode. Yeah. It's like, and so essentially their cycle is she leaves, he stalks her, he tries to get back in her life, she fucking hits him and leaves again.
Yes.
And they've been doing this for hundreds of years.
Exactly. Even a couple of the times, like, I guess they show he tries to do it nice. He brings her like a flower or something like that, and then she just shoots him in the face at one point and stabs him and all this other shit.
Yep. So that was funny.
Yeah, and the crazy thing though too is like the flashback of them getting it on Victor and the bride happens in the middle of a fucking fight with Cersei. Like that's what jars the flashbacks.
Yes,
because they're fighting in a castle where she was born.
Yeah, they're fighting in the castle that all of this happens. So she's having these flashbacks of her past while they're having this battle with Cersei, which I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was fascinating. That's what kind of like jarred the memory banks there for her, because Victor gave her like this necklace that was beautiful and everything like that. She was just kind of coming back trying to find this thing because it meant a lot to her. Yeah. And Nina kind of tags along with her to go find it. And all hell ends up breaking loose because the beloved sons of Themyscira are tracking them. And they tell Cersei where the hell they are. And then she shows up and they start trying to fuck them up.
I love the Sons of Themyscira because it's, again, we're doing some commentary, social commentary, right? Because these are incels. Like one of them actually says, that I've heard that the Themyscira is beautiful and wonderful. It's not fair that women get it, just women. I mean, how come there's nothing we get just for men? It's like, these are fucking Joe Rogan listeners, And I love the commentary on that they're the villains.
Yeah, of course. They're like kind of just like dumb redneck types and things like that. And that's kind of like how they're portrayed in this. And it's like, it is pretty fucking funny what they do with those assholes. And that's kind of where that leads, and then it turns into this like all-out battle with the bride and Cersei, and Cersei beats the shit out of her, and even turns her arms into those like inflatable things that you see like at a used car lot and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and slams her to the ground.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, like she's Cersei. I think this really showed how powerful Cersei really fucking is. in episode 2. Like when she just dismantles her like that. That's pretty wild. Because the bride's taking out members of the sons of Themyscira with a machine gun at one point and stuff like that. She's wrecking shop, but then gets fucked up by Cersei. And more or less, her and Nina are laying on the floor at the end of that episode. And I was cracking up when Nina turns to her and is like, "Fuck you."
Yeah, yes. Because the bride's
was...
like, "I'm sorry" or something, that I dragged you into this, and Nina's like, "Fuck you." Brilliant.
And the other thing that we get here, though, is that Rick Flag Sr. is getting cleaned up by the princess, like his wounds and stuff like that. And they're in the bathroom, and then she kind of like asserts herself again, and they get it on in the bathroom right there. And the funny thing is, outside of it, GI Robot, Dr. Phosphorus, and it was one of the guards or something like that, and they're all sitting there having commentary about, how long do you think this is going to go on for? Because he just got to talk to the princess and stuff like that. And they're all like giving these strategic things. Oh, Rick's an older guy and he has a lot of experience, so he'll be in there for a few minutes. It's okay. So, the whole thing with that is just hilarious.
Oh, that was brilliant. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I did enjoy that. And Dr. Phosphorus is Alan Tudyk, so that of course, yes. That alone is like awesome.
Yeah, he's very much all over, the DC universe and on every level here, and it's pretty awesome.
He really is.
I like him a lot. All right, and then that takes us to episode 3. That's the new one that dropped. That dropped yesterday on Max. So it picks up there where the rest of the team shows up to save. They go running to the castle because Rick's yelling at the team like, "Why don't you come get me?" And Dr. Foster's also even says, "I was trying to be a bro here and like not cop blocking yeah. Essentially. Like, what are you talking about? We all heard what was going on in there. Like, what you wanted me to go run again?"
Oh, that's funny.
And they go to the castle and they see, the bride's tied up and stuff and like that, and they don't know why, and they're trying to figure out like why the hell did they leave you alone? And they instantly figure it out that it was to lure them away from the princess, to get the team away from the princess, her security that she just brought in, and so they can go ahead and kill the princess and do their whole thing and do was like promised there. And it turns into like this whole thing where this is like battle at the castle and everything like that, and that's when GI Robot gets his flashback.
Yeah.
And we get his origin story.
It's so fucking funny. Like so can I do the origin story and you can just fill in whatever?
Oh, absolutely. No, I was teeing you up for it because I know you wanted to.
All right, thank you. So he is a experimental AI used in World War II to kill Nazis. That's what he did. Then the war ended. They really had not much to do with him, so they decommissioned him, shut him down. He was, sold online and bought by we'll get to that. Bought by a guy who thought he would be good for the cause he was in. And he wakes him up. And he freshens him up. He fixes him up. He makes friends with them. He says, "I'm going to take you to all of my friends. And I want you to join our organization." And as he's sitting there, they unfurl the fucking swastika. And he goes, "Nazis?" That's the first time he gets up. He murders each and every, like, he gets up and gleefully like pulls, and it also shows you how powerful this guy is. Like, there was nothing keeping him. There's nothing keeping him in this task force. There's nothing keeping him in his cell because he's just got machine gun hands.
Yeah. He actually has machine guns as his fucking hands, which is wild because he rips through shit on a regular basis.
Oh my God. And so he like point blank range in the head shoots the guy who brought him there and just starts summarily executing these fucking people who were like at this Nazi rally. And you find out that's what he was arrested for. Like, that is why he is in prison. Because, yes, it's one thing to speak about killing Nazis in the theoretical. But when you murder 36, because I think the count was 36 people, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
When you murder 36 Americans, even if they are filthy Nazis, there is still the law. Yeah. And that is when this show got me. I was just like, wow, they are posing fucking morally great questions that have been prescient in our current political climate. And they did it with a gleefully murderous robot. And I was all for it.
So I think the thing that got me with the GI Robot origin story is, like number one, when they show his things in World War II and he fights alongside Sergeant Rock, who is a DC character, like a known DC character who had his own title. And there's also heavy rumors. I don't think it's not official yet, but he's supposed to be getting his own movie, and Daniel Craig is supposed to be in the running to play him.
Shit. I want live action GI Robot then.
That's exactly where my mind went. I was like, oh,
yeah.
So if you're going to give us a Sergeant Rock movie, is Sean Gunn going to also voice GI Robot in a live action movie? You would assume so.
Fuck yeah. Let's do it. I'm here for it. I want to see a live action GI Robot voiced by Sean Gunn gleefully murdering Nazis. That is, yes. I'll buy 2 tickets.
Yeah, man. I was that did get me excited there, and I like the Sergeant Rock thing that they mentioned. They don't like beat you over the head with it. You can see who it is and stuff, and they mentioned his name once, and that's it. But that's also kind of like who he wants to go back and hang out with, because when he's after the war, and he's on that show, and he's in front of people. I don't know about.
Oh yeah, I missed that. I'm sorry.
Like, when he was talking to them, when the guy's talking to him, and he's asking them these questions, and he's asking them about Nazis, and he's scanning the crowd, and it's like the Nazi logo's there on his vision, and it's just 0,0,0,0. And the guy asks him a question, and he's like, his eyes going, he's like, that's something a filthy Nazi would say. I thought he was going to murder the crowd, and that's how he was got arrested. Too. That's where my mind. Okay, so I wasn't alone. That's where my mind went immediately.
No, I thought he was going to flip out. I thought he was going to kill that guy and wind up murdering everyone. But it went differently. That's how he that's how he winds up getting decommissioned. But I am kind of glad that. I think it was a clever setup. I think they did that purposefully. Yeah. I'm glad they set that up, but then sort of that was misdirection, because I think what he's actually in prison for is brilliant.
Well, also too though, the guy that ends up the collector guy that ends up buying him as a collector's item, and then pours some gasoline in him and gets him back. Who, by the way, the guy who that was is voiced by Michael Rooker. Another James Gunn.
Oh, Michael Rooker,
Michael Rooker, yes, Rooker.
That was Rooker?
Yeah, me and Angie noticed him right away, because I'm listening to his voice. I'm like, holy shit. That's fucking Michael Rooker. That's fucking young.
I can't believe I missed that. That's, or for horror heads, that's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, one of the most disturbing movies ever made.
Oh yeah, I mean he's also in The Walking Dead and everything like that. He's been in like fucking everything.
Yeah.
But I thought it's also because it also like the way that they show GI Robot during that time, and this guy's like all nice and stuff, and like putting a coat on him, and he's got all these cats and everything, and he's covered by cats, and it kind of made me also start thinking of like, so what does this robot do that was built for like extreme violence and murdering filthy Nazis, as he always says?
Yes.
What happens to him when there's no war to fight? Like, it kind of made me think of the movie Jarhead in a second, and I thought I kind of figured that's where it was going to go, right?
I can see that. Well, And I think it answers that question. I think I didn't even think about that. So
Yeah.
brilliant insight on your part. But it does. It sets that question up. What do you do when the war is over? And it answers that question. You continue to fight the war even when you're not sanctioned to, right? And isn't that kind of like what our soldiers go through with PTSD when they get back and they can't adjust to real life, regular? So again, they're making very interesting commentary. Good fucking eye, Ed. I missed that.
Yeah, no, because I thought for a minute until the reveal comes, right? Which you see, I know I picked up the reveal. I felt like that it was like this white supremacy, not neo-Nazi thing that he was going to. Once I saw that, obviously you knew these dudes were done, and I was like, all right, now it becomes clear what happened to him. But I thought they were going to go down this like true no war to fight PTSD route. But then obviously, again, as soon as he sees that that banner dropped out in front of the speaker, then he's, fuck this. And the way he murders them, he just rips them to shreds. It is brutal. And obviously, yeah, like you mentioned, Jason, that's how he ends up in prison. And that answers that question until it comes back to present day, where he's fighting this battle and the Task Force M is being held down. And he asks Rick again, simple question, so innocent.
Yeah.
Are those Nazis? And Rick's like, you know something? They are filthy Nazis. And he fucking goes nuclear on them. Holy shit, he's got this hover conversion going on. Rips them apart.
That was nuts. His top half separates from the bottom. He's hovering. He's got his two guns, and he's hovering in a circle, just fucking shooting everything. It was gloriously violent. And he's so happy. And he's having flashbacks, right? Of like killing Nazis with his friends in the past or something. Like he's so
they're all smiling and everything. Yeah. And the whole thing that's catchphrase, and it is sad because he like acts as that he does say it at the end to Nina, is it was like cheers to the Tin Man, right? Like because that's what his battalion essentially had said to him back then, and they take pictures with him and stuff like that, and that's the thing. But then while that's happening, Cersei shows up and fucking rips G.I. Robot to shreds, and all that's left is his head, which would lead me to believe that's how he'll be resurrected and stuff, and he'll get a new body, and he'll be fine in the end. Because there's no way you're getting rid of that character that easily.
No. He's too good. He's too good.
Yeah. But Cersei's holding the team down, and then fucking Weasel, who is seen like licking himself in the middle of this whole war in the corner and stuff like that, cleaning himself, goes and starts ripping her, like tearing her apart. And then the rest of the team jumps on her. They're beating the piss out of her. And the bride turns to Rick because his face is like, almost like shocked for a second. She's like, you want monsters? You got monsters. This is what.
Yeah.
And the flip thing though is that she tells them like she looks worried, sir. She's like, you don't understand what you just did to the whole planet. You damned everybody, and that's where the episode ends.
Yeah. So I'm of course there's a twist, which I think is cool. Great episode. This episode was solid.
Yeah, I know I enjoyed the first two more than you did, but I'm all in, hooked in on this show. I love all the James Gunn stuff we talked about before, but it just it made me think of like, man, what the hell is his Superman going to look like? Because as I know he's going to deliver on this, there's no question. But like when you don't have the irreverent, like ragtag group of misfits and stuff, and like, man, and Rick Flag Sr., Frank Grillo is in Superman. Like, remember, Superman is being brought into this existing universe now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, Frank Grillo, who is currently in theaters in Werewolves.
Which I don't know. After talking to Ginny about it yesterday, I want to see this movie.
Oh, I know. I know you do, and it is whatever. I'll save it for a minute because I have a feeling I'll end up talking about werewolves in our next segment somehow because there is something to be said about that.
Okay.
Where do you? So before we move on from Creature Commandos, though, like, what the hell do you think Cersei's talking about?
I have no idea. I have no
All
idea.
right.
I think it's going to be a twist. Like, I think it's going to be something like she was. No, I have a small idea, a concept of an idea. I think she is doing something, keeping something at bay. And what she's doing, like she's using the idiots of the incels of Themyscira for a purpose. Like I think she is trying to keep some evil at bay actions, but I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think my theory is right around what yours is, that we're going to find out she was actually trying to do something good, or maybe in the terms of like, because she was severely injured, like the army of Themyscira is going to come and wage war on like civilization to avenge their own or some shit like that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a twist. Yeah. So, but I'm excited to see it, and quite honestly, I don't even care. Like, what the overall thing is. I'm really more interested in the characters. Like, I want to see the Weasel backstory. I want to see who the fuck Dr. Phosphorus is. Like, I'm very interested in the team itself.
Yeah, me too. And I want to know more about Nina's backstory too, because like I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Much there, and we haven't gotten much from her yet. Just that she, is in this suit and she should be underwater, and that's pretty much it. That's really kind of all we know about her so far.
And there was a cool moment with G.I. Robot where he puts her in a bathtub to save her life, which I thought that was cool because he's a fucking robot, right? He's not supposed to care, but it sets up that he is someone who does consider these people friends and did consider his old battalion friends and is capable of having friends, even though he's a single-minded robot. And so, and it also kind of establishes a bond between them. So I would not be surprised if she's the catalyst of his resurrection.
Well, yeah, because she's the last one holding his head after she gets her backup suit.
Absolutely.
And he even says, like, cheers to the Tin Man. And yeah, it'll be something like that. That's how he'll get resurrected and stuff. And then Frankenstein is also going to be involved in this because he's in the opening credits. So that'll lead him to believe he's somehow going to be forced into joining this team at some point.
Yeah, my prediction is he joins the team as a way to be close to the bride. Like, it's got to be one of those pathetic, like, oh, you have to be in this team? Well, I'll just stick around then because you can't leave. That's my because that would be really funny.
It would be. So, yeah, you're right. Something along those lines was how he'll get roped into this and stuff. But it's interesting. And plus the fact that we saw him on that boat with a bunch of women around and the cruise ship and stuff like that. So I'm very curious to know, like, what the hell he's been up to since he finally kind of like lost track of her or some shit like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested too. Like when we get his backstory.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. So then we will move on to our movie of the week, and ties into what Jason was celebrating, because Jason is Kraven, some might say, to talk about this one. It is the latest entry into Sony's Spider-Verse Spider-Verse. It's the supposed last entry. I will say that there were reports out there that this is them officially throwing in the towel after this one. We'll get into that in a minute, though, because I was listening to another podcast that was kind of explaining some stuff. So we'll see. I had some questions about that too, but yeah. So today is official opening day for that movie, which is called Kraven the Hunter. And look at that. Right on time. Our good friend of the show hasn't been on here in a minute. We'll let him get set there.
It's been a bit.
Rick, what's up, man?
I'm good, bro. How you guys doing?
Good.
Welcome back to Granny's.
Oh boy, there it is. it's the Crow.
It's the Crow. You guys, I've been following.
Yes, that might be the best crow we've seen on this show in a long time.
You
Yeah, I mean,
There's
since
been
the original.
Yep. I had to bring the original one back.
Nice.
Yep.
All right, so Rick, you also saw Kraven the Hunter as well yesterday. All of us saw apparently the first screenings in our area. Rick was so excited, he made sure he timed it up where he flew back to Florida because he was in New York for a few days. We were hanging out, and he wanted to make sure he caught that first episode, that first screening of Kraven the Hunter.
I wasn't letting that go by.
No, I didn't think there was any chance. Rick, I mean, actually, no, Jason, I want you to start off with this. We saw this together with Ginny, who was also our co-host on PCP Deep Dive, who was genuinely excited to see this movie as well. What were your overall thoughts on this film before we dive into the minutiae and the details?
Okay. So, I'm going to say this. I did enjoy this movie. I did. It would be disingenuous if I came on here and just vomited all over it because I did enjoy it. I got genuine. There were at least 2 genuine laughs with it, not at it. I only rolled my eyes in stupidity once. And I grant you, it's not a good movie. It's not, but I did enjoy it. I think there was enough there for me to have fun. I thought some of the performances were good. Russell Crowe, I think, is actually really good in it with that accent. It has nothing to do with Kraven the Hunter or the Rhino or anything that it's supposed to, be reflecting. It has nothing to do with that. I mean, if you're going to see Kraven the Hunter, the character from Spider-Man, you will be sorely disappointed. But as I kind of predicted before we saw it, this is like Eastern European, Russian, crime drama. That's exactly what it is with superpowers. I felt, and I know, Ed, we did kind of go back and forth on this one yesterday. So I'm going to controversially double down. I think this is a competent movie. I'm not saying it's a great movie. I'm not even saying it's a good movie. I think it is competently put together in a way that I have not seen so ever.
Interesting.
That's it.
Interesting.
Done.
I'm gonna save my remarks for a second. Rick, I see you have the Joker Folie Deux poster behind you. Why is this happening?
Yeah, I'd seen a couple of movies this year, and in Florida, when I go to the movie theater, I'm the only one there most of the time. So they give you posters to anything you want, things like that. So I just wanted to point out this movie. I was very excited about this movie a couple months ago.
Uh-oh.
And then I saw this movie.
Sort of.
And what happened. And Gladiator 2.
No, he went back.
I waited for Gladiator 2 for a long time. What, 20 years ago? 25 years ago? The original Gladiator?
24 years ago. 24 years ago. It came out in 2000, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then they said Denzel, because his mom would call him Denzel, not Denzel.
Ah.
He was in this movie, and he defended his I'm going to use my New York gangster voice in this movie. He defended it as it was art that he was creating. So I wanted to show a couple of posters from movies that I've been to prior to this one that I'll be comparing it to possibly at periods. And I went into this film thinking it was going to be a dumpster fire. I thought all the worst things in the world. There we go.
Posters too. I have posters too of movies I've seen in the theater as well.
And I thought we were walking into a dumpster fire. I had very low hopes, and I really enjoyed this movie. It reminded me of a lot of Netflix originals that I had a good time watching for 90 minutes randomly when I didn't expect to run into a good movie on a Saturday morning. Um, I Man, I really like this. I'm gonna sound apologetic probably a lot of this conversation, but I like the characters. I like the introductions. I like the fact that they knew that this was a dead end road, and they grabbed each other's hands and they Thelma and Louise off
Oh
the
my
cliff
God.
together, and it's just like this. That's where I'm at.
Oh boy. Wow.
That's a great analogy.
That's my opinion on this, Ed. What did you think?
Wow. Rick, I am so glad that you've decided to join us this evening because I mean that was special. I'm gonna remember that one. I'm gonna remember that. 'Cause I might bring that back
That was good.
randomly in the future, along with other random running gags we have on here. This movie sucks. It's garbage. This movie sucks. I did not like it. I'm glad I got a little bit more time to marinate on it for about a little over 24 hours now. It's not good. I think it was better than Madam Web, and it was better than Morbius. And I think that us collectively, the three of us, have seen some really bad shit this year, especially recently.
Stinkers.
So, but I think between that and the combination of this franchise, and both of those things kind of set our bar super low. Like, as long as somebody turned the camera on, as Rick would say, and actors showed up to the set, and somebody was sitting in a chair that said director, and there was at least words on a paper, like, we would be okay with this. We would have seen the bright side of this. Because we've been beaten down so badly. And then we got into this movie. And it is a movie, right? It's not Supergirl. It's a movie. And we were like, you know something? That's a victory. I saw a movie today. Rick, 2 days prior, we watched Werewolves in the theater. The first thing you did when you arrived to New York from the airport, we temporarily stopped at my house and we went around the corner in the rain and watched Werewolves. You had no fucking idea what we're getting into. I told you this. My selling point to Rick was this, because he's like, what is that? I'm like, well, it stars Frank Grillo, and it basically looks like a direct-to-video movie that probably came out like sometime in the 90s. And you were like, all right, I'm in, let's go. And then we went. And we knew what we were walking into, and we watched it. And we had a couple of moments where we laughed together during it because Rick leaned over and said a couple of brief things. And it's exactly what I was thinking. We had shots out of focus a couple of times, which we rubbed our eyes to see if that was just us.
By the way, Ed was wearing glasses or contacts, and I have LASIK. Like, we were both like,
no, I have LASIK, and I still was like, because these are glasses are for reading and for screen. I was still like, wait, what?
The woman, Jason. There's this scene where this she's securing the house, and she pushes a brick wall.
she
runs up to a brick wall and just starts pushing the brick wall.
And I had a confused look on my face. And then Rick leans over to me and is like, why is she testing the brick wall? I'm like, exactly. And there's the out of focus things. And there was also a scene where this same woman is in this house that's boarded up because the event they're trying to deal with is drilled home that it lasts for 24 hours or not.
No, it's 8 hours long.
Yeah,
it's overnight.
Yes, one night for Supermoon. And she has canned goods everywhere. Like, she's setting up for the fucking zombie apocalypse. And we're like, does she like just go to Costco and shit a lot, or BJ's, and that's kind of her thing? Is she like Kraven and she buys beefaroni to get to the fucking horse? Like, what is going on right now?
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened there, Ed. I thought about this all day today while I was working a 12-hour shift.
Interesting.
It's because whoever was doing set design had no access to the script, and somebody was like, yo, they're like boarded up in this house. That's the only definition for that happening.
Yeah.
because they were set up for like a month or two.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but the correlation to bring it back to Kraven, and part of my issues with this movie, there is a lot of stuff that goes completely fucking unexplained in this movie, and it's a problem. Yeah, it's a problem for me. There's a lot of things that happen that are kind of like the things I've seen in Werewolves. Now, I forgive Werewolves a little bit more and can laugh at it because it's not $100+ million production by a major studio. It was basically put together by LaGuardia Community College film class, you know. So I can kind of forgive some of that. And plus, Werewolves knows what it is. Like, they're self-aware. This movie's not self-aware of this kind of stuff, so you don't get that. And I do think that, again, I stand by this. I think both of you and myself, to an extent, were forgiving of this because of how low the bar was going in. Ginny, I'm not going to explain that. I am so glad I got to watch my first movie with Ginny because I have not actually met Ginny in person until last night. And we had a blast watching this movie. Right, Jason? The three of us had a great time.
That was a lot of fun.
But if you follow PCP Deep Dive, I knew she was going to love this movie. You just knew it. I have no doubt about it. But yeah, those are my issues. That's my issues with this shit. Was it, again, not, did I want to hang myself when I left? Did I question life choices? No. But it's not good. It's not good. This is not a good. Jason, we ran into a guy. We ran into a guy outside of the movie theater.
We did.
Okay?
We did.
What did he ask us? Right then and there, when we were kind of on somewhat of a forgiving glow.
He asked us if it was worth seeing in the theater, and we both agreed it was if you didn't have to pay full price.
Exactly. Which, again,
but
I think kind of, but then we were also teetering a little bit on that too.
No, you were teetering. I was in the camp of.
I was teetering. I said, if you have Regal Unlimited,
it is worth. I think it is worth a discounted price to see it in the theater. I don't think this is a good movie. I was entertained, and I will grant you, Ed, that my entertainment might have been definitely so. It's definitely subjective, and I've seen lots of shit. And guys, I hope this movie tanks because I don't ever want to see one of these goddamn Sony movies again. Why was I dancing in the beginning of this show? I was dancing on the grave of these fucking Spider-Man movies, which I fucking hate. Okay? So I say all of that, but this was, on its own merit, a competent movie. And maybe I enjoyed it more than I normally would have because of the other garbage I had to endure. But even if you take my enjoyment out of it, I do stand by the fact that it was a competent movie. It wasn't well written. It wasn't great. It's arguably, if it's even it's not good. It's entertaining. It's not good. But they were, and it's terribly written, like Calypso. We really want you to know our name is Calypso. We're going to say it 20 times. So it's not even greatly written, but there was only one point that I went, what the fuck? Where is this coming from? I felt that it set the important things that it was leading up to. It properly set up and let it and took us there, and for that I will give it. I think that is competence. That's all. I'm not saying it's good, just competent.
Jason, me and Ed, we limited our conversation last night, but one thing I did mention to him was, if this movie came out right after the first Venom movie, I think this universe might have been heading in the right direction. What do you think about that?
I agree with that. I hated the first Venom, so I wouldn't have seen that. I don't know if I would have seen this because I really was not on board. Like, for me, to be honest, you don't have Spider-Man. What the fuck are we doing here? What are we even doing here? That's my opinion on all these movies. But like, I actually do to these Sony movies, but I also really dislike the Venom movies. And I think Venom 1 is the only real contender for that challenges this for best Sony movie. So, Rick, can answer your question, if they put this out right after Venom, I agree, because at least they're not great movies, they might not be good movies, but it's an interesting start and something to build on.
I put this one, like, I don't hate it like Eddie does. This isn't Kraven that you're used to if you've seen Kraven's Last Hunt.
Nope.
You know, this is, I don't want to call him a reimagined character, but he's a refreshed character. Like, I like Quicksilver. I like this guy. He's cool. I like him doing it.
I think reimagined's a good way to put it.
Yeah, he's, but I feel like I said with Thelma Louise, like, these people tried. They tried, and I was with them.
Yeah, I'm gonna question. I'm definitely gonna challenge the trying part of it, because again, I guess we can get into some of the details of this.
Go into it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Let's talk about Kraven first, shall we? So about the character who we get, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is Kraven. He's a very talented actor. I enjoy him in just about everything he's in. He's does the best with the shit script he's given in this. He in no way at any point in time did I think to myself, this is Kraven the Hunter at all. I'm like, this is a hunter guy.
No.
This is like, and this is kind of like if his name could have been a rebooted Paul Dundee.
That would have been awesome.
Mick Dundee, and this
would have been
that.
awesome.
It's like, we're gonna reimagine Crocodile Dundee as an action movie. I would have bought that more than I bought him as Kraven the Hunter. Again, from my prior knowledge of Kraven the Hunter, we're gonna reimagine this. You know how, like, we kind of in our group text, we were ripping these whole, like, hey, things are getting thrown into public domain and turned into horror movies, slasher movies, right? It's gonna get old fast, and it really is really fast for me. And they're not even all out yet. There's just trailers sometimes, and I'm already tired of it. But that's what I would have been like, hey, I got an idea. You listen to me, Sony. Check this out. Crocodile Dundee is an action movie. And that's what I kind of got from this guy.
Bro,
the end of the movie is Crocodile Dundee 2. It 100% is, if you've seen it. If you're familiar with it, that's exactly the plot of the end of this movie. There's no question about this. Okay? Kraven gets his powers in the comics by he takes this herb, right? Kind of imagine Black Panther in a way. That's how he gets his advanced speed and strength and all this other stuff. How does he get it in this movie? Well, let's see. He gets injured by a lion. That lion happens to bleed on an open wound. While he's taking this magic formula that Calypso as a child happens to have, was given to her walking by. It's the cure for everything. It's the hand wave.
Who had it?
Oh, wait.
Who had it?
Yeah, Calypso. Calypso had it.
Oh.
Yes, Calypso.
Calypso, you're right. Calypso had it. Yeah,
yes,
Calypso.
Jason Calypso.
Jason Calypso.
Thank you. Thank you.
And by the way, in case you weren't
sure. Go wake Finn up and tell him Calypso.
You should in the middle of the night. He comes to you in the middle to say Calypso. And then after that, you tell him you're a hunter. Because guess what? You know how we make fun of fucking Marky Mark's character in the Bayformers franchise about telling everyone he's an inventor?
I'm a scientist.
I'm a scientist.
Bro,
I'm
I
an
invent
inventor.
things.
I'm an inventor, bro. Yo, tell your mother I said hello for me, okay? That's Kraven in this.
I invented something for her.
That's Kraven in this movie. He's a hunter. Did you guys know he's a hunter? I'm a hunter. He's a hunter. He's a hunter. They're a hunter. They're a hunter. We're a hunter.
All right, but
he's a hunter.
And
they're a hunter.
And then it's like, oh, what do you hunt? I hunt people just like my dad.
Your dad doesn't fucking hunt people, you moron. Exactly.
No. He hunts people just like his dad that he has access to all the time.
Yes. Go hunt your dad, moron.
he's symbolically killing his father over and over and over again. It's Freudian. This is just working on so many levels.
He could just kill his dad once.
Dude, it is.
I will say
this movie could have been over in 5 minutes.
Come on, the way he gets his powers.
I don't think. Oh no, I agree with that. That's why I was okay with it. I was okay with it because it was magic, and I was like, all right, I don't have to think about it. Great, just give me some fucking action. But I will push back on this. He's not as bad as Marky Mark or Mark Wahlberg.
No, I'm just saying
because we actually see him hunt.
Everyone is a hunter.
Like,
yes, that's correct.
He tells everybody he's a hunter, but then we actually get to see him do cool shit. Like the first 10 minutes of that movie, I get why they released it to get people after seeing it. That was the first 10 minutes of that movie had me hooked for a bit. Him killing people with the tooth and shit, like that was cool. Mark Wahlberg invents nothing. Mark Wahlberg's like, yo, bro, Optimus, I invented this fucking toe stop. Can I pretend I invented you? I'm an inventor, bro. I think it's a bit different. We can't compare Transformers with this. That's unfair.
I'm just saying is the term that he keeps telling everyone what he is, and he's being called the hunter constantly. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a shot game for this movie where you take a shot every time the hunter is mentioned, and you would fucking die by the end of this. Or Calypso, one or the other.
Yes.
Take your pick.
Or Calypso, either one.
Calypso, you'd be dead. Her grandmother's in the movie for like 180 seconds. Says Calypso 23 times.
Yeah.
You're almost not exaggerating, Rick.
You could have a team drinking game watching this movie.
You would die.
One team takes a shot every time the hunter is mentioned. The other team gets a shot when Calypso is mentioned. And we'll see who's totally done first. Whoever taps out first.
It would have to be a team effort too, because if one person took a shot every time someone said Calypso, they'd be dead. You'd have to be like, all right, look, Ed, I took that last Calypso shot. You got to do the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be like beer pong. Every time they say Calypso, you got to shoot. That is more fair to have live friends.
So,
but wait. I gotta defend. I gotta defend his powers.
More to talk about on Kraven.
His powers, dude.
Yes.
Black Panther.
Ahead,
Black Panther. It's fair.
No, Rick. The big difference is this: in Black Panther, we got an explanation that he takes the herb, and we were told what it does. This dude had a lion's fucking blood drop on him at the same time as he took this whole fucking thing. And like, if he didn't take, that's how he got his Kraven powers. I'm like, if he didn't get the lion's blood, then he just would have healed and moved on and been Calypso.
Dude, you don't even get why the lion let him live. The lion the lion knew he was Kraven. It had to attack him. It had to separate him from his father.
This is completely.
It had to bleed on him.
Wow. This is why. Why did that happen?
All right. We don't know why,
but her grandmother knew that had to happen. No. Her grandmother gave her the medicine, knowing that had to happen. Jason.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna back Rick up here. I think now the movie does not set up why it happened, so it does not negate your point, Ed. But Rick is correct. It does. It's the question. Like the question is what motivates the lion, but the lion very clearly has taken him and brought him to this moment. The grandmother who was a psychic saw this happening. We don't know why, and we should. That should be covered in this 2-hour, 7-minute movie that could have been an hour and a half. But it isn't. But again, I'm gonna give credit because I have seen way more inexplicable things with no forethought. This had some forethought. It just the follow through wasn't there.
I think
the Falcon went to his window. He interacted with animals the whole movie. It was a prophecy. Kraven is a prophecy. He's not a mistake. It looks like a mistake if you're not paying attention.
No,
I was paying attention to the movie.
I was unfortunately paying attention. No, I was definitely unfortunately paying attention to the movie. And he is definitely portrayed as Land Aquaman in this movie, where he can talk to animals.
We don't know he can't talk to fish. We just didn't see him talk to fish.
The fact that he's able to communicate with wild buffalo roaming, and twice in 2 parts of this movie that shit happens, this whole stampede, he talks to animals for some bizarre reason. Just complete lunacy is what I'm saying. Like, that is just no. It's just it's solid
right.
no.
Eddie, you play softball.
Yes.
If I'm your umpire,
doesn't mean I can talk to animals.
If I am your umpire, what do you want from me? You want me to know the rules, and you want me to be consistent. This movie set the rules early and was consistent the rest of the way. He had access to the buffaloes, not once but twice. He had the falcon. He had the lion. He had the wolf that he fucking punked. It was consistent. It created the boundaries, and it stayed within the boundaries.
What's going on? Sorry, it was.
Or the wolves.
I think
Kraven is outside your window.
Exactly. I think I'm on Kraven's inexplicable list, because at one point also he has a list and he's hunting people, and then he forgets about the list later on, and that kind of just goes out the window. Very WCW-like, and he moves on from that. We don't know where this list came from. We don't know what the deal is with the list. And then
he found the list randomly.
Yes, he found the list.
No. He randomly found the list.
I think you guys are being a bit unfair here. We can use inference to tell that he put this list together based on fucking criminals he was hunting, people who did terrible shit. The people he killed, the person he killed in the beginning got on his list because he was a crime boss who fucked over Calypso and killed Calypso's partner or friend or whatever. So clearly he has put the list together, and he is doing this to exercise his fucking hatred for his father, because as we did say before, they all do what his father does. So I like, all right, you could find it stupid he has a list, but going back to what Rick said, they set up the rules and they follow it through. Like, they set up that he hunts fucking criminals, and that there's a list. We don't need them to say he made the list off this criteria. We could fucking tell why he made the list. So I'm just saying, we got to be a bit, because I think part of you really wants to hate this movie, so we can just say fuck you all, Sony. And I think you have a bit of a bias because the other movie sucked so much, and you're we're being too kind on this movie. So
this movie is not Madam Web. We can't blame this movie for what Madam Web did.
Dude, I said this movie is better than Madam Web. I said that in the beginning. I said it's definitely better than Madam Web. I said it's definitely better than Morbius. And it's debatably better than some of the Venom movies, which I also dislike as well. I've said that already.
I can't wait till we get to Rhino.
Oh no, that's coming next. But the stuff with Kraven is, I don't know. It's wild. It is wild stuff. The opening sequence, the 8 minutes that they released, was cool. I'm not saying that there isn't cool action sequences and stuff like that, because he absolutely gets that. We get a little bit of some R-rated kills by Kraven. I'm not saying that. I'm not taking that away. One of the main, there's even a couple of moments of comedy that happen here when he has the woman he walks past the couple and he smells the perfume and stuff, and then he rats the guy out for cheating and stuff like that. That's actually a genuinely funny moment. I laughed at about that. But then later on, he encounters a character named the Foreigner, which we'll get to him as well. Okay, we'll get to him in a minute. We're going to save him because Rhino's up next. But before we're doing that, he has this moment where Foreigner injects people with this serum. It's kind of like, think Scarecrow. It brings your worst fears to life.
All right.
Could you take a wild guess? Take a wild guess what Kraven's worst fear is. The second they introduced that serum and it was mentioned that it existed, you fucking knew exactly where this was going.
How cool was that?
Not cool at all.
No, I liked it.
It was so stupid. Take a guess. Jason, tell me, what is Kraven's greatest fear?
Well, of course, it's spiders, not Spider-Man, because they don't exist in this universe, but spiders.
No, they don't. Spiders. How shocking that you knew that's where that was going.
Yeah. But
they couldn't help it.
Now,
they couldn't help it.
I liked it.
That's stupid as shit. I thought it was stupid as shit. That was the one thing I kind of fucking rolled my eyes at. But here's the thing, though. They actually could have kept that in and fixed it. If it wasn't they needed to change two things. One, they needed to establish in the beginning in that flashback that his mother had a thing for spiders. Like we spend so much time in that flashback. If you give us this kid has ball enough to fucking what's that?
Over a 20-minute flashback, by the way. We can get to that in a minute.
Yeah. It's a huge flashback that needs to be cut down. But if you give us in there, this is a kid who doesn't fucking fear the wild. Because you have that moment where he puts the gun down. He's facing off against the lion, which I actually thought was a pretty cool scene. Mm-hmm. But if you give us somewhere in there that, like, spiders, like he found his spiders on his mother or something like that, because they do try to connect it later. They say that, oh, that was his mother's worst fear, so now it's his. That's stupid. But if they put something in the movie early on that spiders traumatized him, and the irony of his character is that he can fucking take on lions, but small insects frighten him. And then you actually made them real spiders and not weird CGI Spider-Man looking spiders, then you have something that could work. And a reference to Spider-Man for those in the know, where you're not being punched in the face with it.
But you felt punched in the face with it, as I did.
Oh, no, it sucked. It absolutely sucked. I felt punched in the face in it. But I also want to point out that this wasn't 20 minutes of grab ass. What's Ben Parker's son's name or nephew's name? Right? This wasn't them like,
it was not.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Spider-Man, you pieces of shit. It wasn't that. It was, we want to nod to it. And it was a ham-fisted nod, because this is not a good movie. It's a competent movie, but not a good one. But again, this, with some tweaking, could have been good in ways that previous incarnations of Sony could not, in my opinion. So, I don't know why I'm going so hard defending this movie. I don't know why.
No, that's fine, dude. Listen.
No, but good, not great. You're not throwing the word great around.
No,
you're saying good.
No.
Like, good is a reasonable fucking expectation. No, I'm saying with tweaks, it could have been.
Yeah,
no,
tweaks, it could have been good. Absolutely.
Nobody did that worse than Madam Web. That was the worst of the worst. And with all this spider stuff, that was the worst way, because it was an ongoing thing that was not subtle by any stretch of the imagination, and they wouldn't let it go.
It was grab ass.
It was a plot line through the movie. It was literally a plot line through the movie. So, no, that was not this. But I just, again, the spider crap, I was like, here it comes. You knew it was coming from a mile away.
Doesn't work.
They couldn't help it, because there really is not a ton of it. Like, they read the Daily Bugle. Everyone's reading the Daily Bugle. That's fine. Okay, you're going to do that.
That's fine, though.
I get it. But to me, it's just those two things that were the only things that I clocked that were, besides the other stuff in the movie, that they use other Spider-Man adjacent characters in this movie. That was my favorite
part.
Those two things were just kind of like, though, you're reminding me of Spider-Man again. A guy this character is never going to fucking see in a million years. So don't remind me of that. I'm trying to forget that. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt and block Spider-Man out of my way. But you're making sure that I don't forget it. And that's where I ding the movie for it. Because you know it ain't going there. So let me fucking forget it, and that's it.
Yep, that's fair.
Rick, tell us about the Rhino.
The Rhino, if not for the Venom movies, this movie, Rhino should have been played by fucking Hardy. He would have bodied the role. I like the guy who played him. I didn't love him. I like when he started looking like a rhino. I like the backpack. I'm okay with the way that he died. he looked really fucking bad when he was fully turned. It's my only knock on the character. Other than that, I liked his gangster sensibilities. I liked that he liked to play with his dog and have fun. I'm okay with him having a weakness, but fuck, he looked terrible when he was in his full form.
The Rhino's the worst character in this movie. And it's not even particularly close, I'm going to be honest with you. Because the Rhino doesn't want... He's played by Alessandro Nivola. Now, you may or may not recognize that name, but he was in Face Off. Okay? He was basically baby brother in that movie to Nick Cage. Sorry, he was... I'm sorry, I said the name last night too. Is it Bollocks Troy?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm gonna pull it up right now.
Said last night.
Pollux Troy. That's who he is in that movie. He has not had a ton of work since then, and now I know why. He's in a totally different movie than everyone else is. They're all in a particularly bad Kraven movie. This guy is in God knows what, and he's going throughout this movie doing God knows what, and he feels weak. He's made to feel weak in the beginning of the movie by Kraven's father, and then disappears for a while, but then gets this thing injected into him to make his skin, which, quote, he says is kind of like a rhino. And he has to have this backpack on him to inject himself to make sure he doesn't become the rhino. Think reverse Bane in a way, right? Like Bane takes the venom serum to make himself bigger and stronger and stuff like that.
Yeah, but being the rhino hurts him.
Yes. Oh, it hurts him a little bit. So he doesn't want to do that. He's not going to be hurt because that's what would make him weak. And so the argument can be made he's ultimately weak anyway. But when he becomes the rhino at the end of this film for the final battle, and remember like a rhino, Jason, turns into the actual fucking rhino where he has two horns in the front of his head. And the CGI on this character is... Dude, it's more. I'd rather have the guy in a rubber suit like we had in Werewolves.
Do you guys remember when the first Wolverine movie came out that there was a bootleg running around with no CGI completed in it?
Yes, of course.
That looked better than this character.
It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. I mean, wow. I mean, his whole thing, where he's just sent a video we find out at the end of the movie, he sent a video by Kraven's father of Kraven so he can go after Kraven. And then Kraven his master plan was to take him out for him because he was like a gangster rival. Right? Am I underselling this?
No, that's 100% it. And I kind of did like that. I don't like this rhino, and I'll talk about it in a second. But yes. I did kind of like that because I was watching going, where did they get this fucking video? And why does this guy think he's on this list? Right? But no, it's because Russell Crowe, the father, engineered it. And I did kind of like that because, again, this movie sets up in the beginning, he wants Sergei in his fucking family. He wants him running the family. And their father's a big manipulator. And this is a way to manipulate his son into doing the family business without him wanting to do it. So I actually was really all on board with the framing of who was really behind it and everything. Having said that, I think what you said about the rhino, like, yeah, he looked terrible. There was no reason he should have turned into a rhino. And this is where I think, Ed, where the big problem that you're saying is it keeps fucking punching in the face, reminding you, no, it's a Spider-Man movie. It's a Spider-Man movie. Because if it was like, if I don't use this, I get really fucking rock hard skin like a rhino. And then at the end, he doesn't look like a rhino, but he gets this rock hard skin. They have the same fight. Better movie. Because why would he look like a rhino? No, he's called the rhino because he refers to his skin as being that impenetrable, not because he turns into a real rhino. And why doesn't he turn into a real rhino? Because that is not what the fucking rhino comic book does. It's a suit in the comic book. You're giving me chemistry here, fine, but don't remind me of the property you're not properly giving me. And so I agree with you on the Rhino, but I think it's the problem with the design. I actually did like the character, like the actor. I thought like he was doing interesting shit, and I like the fact that when I become powerful, I'm in pain. So I stay in this weakened state until I have to be powerful. There's something there that's interesting that they just don't explore enough.
Can I add on to what Jason said? Because the character that they named, the Doctor in New York,
Yes.
he's the Jackal in the remember yesterday we were talking, I couldn't recall. I just recalled a couple of minutes ago. He's the Jackal who created his own costume. And in the comics, I don't know. I'd have to look into this. If the Jackal like did anything to the Chameleon and the Rhino, I don't know that. But I know for a fact the name that they said is the Jackal. So when I was watching these Rhino scenes, and I know that the Jackal was the one that gave him his powers, when his brother, are we doing spoilers or
no? We got the spoiler across the bottom, man. This is always open spoilers.
When his brother comes out as who he is, bro, I wanted so much for his brother to have been behind the kidnapping and his brother to be the actual villain. That would have saved the whole movie.
I don't know if it would. I can't say I would go that far, but I would have liked it more.
If his brother would have been behind the kidnapping, behind all of that, and would have come out as a chameleon and and the thing is, his brother was the little brother the whole movie, getting flicked in the fucking ear.
Mm-hmm.
When he showed his face changing, I wanted it to be like it was all me. That would have been the fucking Kaiser Soze moment of the whole movie, and really. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but
no, we're jumping all around, man.
While we're talking about the Rhino, this is why I like the Rhino. Jason's saying, dude was fucking playing a cool. You're right, Eddie. Your observation is why me and Jason like it. He does look like he was in his own movie, just like in
Agreed.
Boardwalk Empire. The agent fucking looked like he was on his own show the whole time. Like, he was really doing his own thing. And I thought, and Jason thought, he was doing a cool part of doing his own thing, but it didn't wrap up well. But if he was just a patsy for the Chameleon, that might have wrapped up really well.
Well, when I say he's doing his own thing, I mean that he's in a movie that's over the top and bananas and, is self-aware, and he's kind of doing that whole thing. But it doesn't.
He is.
The rest of no one else that wrote the script or acted in the movie kind of got that memo that he got. Apparently, is what I'm saying. It is not a compliment.
It's Al Pacino and Heat. It's Al Pacino and Heat, Chip and Coke.
You fucking bite your tongue. All right. Okay. You calm down.
That's exactly who it is. Al Pacino and Heat, Chip and Coke.
No, he's like Al Pacino in Geely. Is what he is. Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
Oh, invoking Geely. No.
Yes.
I actually think but I actually kind of disagree because I think he is over the top, but I think there's so much that's over the top. But I agree that he's kind of functioning like he's in a different movie in the way he's over the top. But I found that interesting. And if we divorce this from Kraven and the Rhino, right? If this was, I don't know, a movie about Eastern European / Russian vengeance in the criminal underworld.
Are you talking about Eastern Promises?
Eastern Promises,
which is
great movie.
Exactly, which is what I fucking said in the beginning. This would be like Eastern Promises pretending to be Kraven. It's what it is. But I think if you divorce Kraven and the Rhino and you just say it's Eastern Promises with some superpowers, I think we could be more understanding of what's going on. It's just the fact that this guy's called a Rhino and he is not the Rhino. That's a problem. The fact that he is over the top in a different way than everyone else over the top, because everyone's over the top in this movie. I mean, I think they're all like Russell Crowe is fucking doing it, and I actually think he's really good in this, Russell Crowe. But he's over the top. I think a lot of people are. I think it's just the coding of who this character is supposed to be, as opposed to what they're trying to do. And I think I made the connection between Todd Phillips' Joker and this yesterday, where I said I went into that Joker going, no, this has nothing to do with the Joker. I'm divorcing myself of the lore and just watching this movie. And that's kind of how I approached this. And I think the biggest problem this movie has, in my opinion, is it makes it hard to divorce yourself from the source material because it keeps punching you in the face. Right? And I think if they weren't punching you in the face, this is the Rhino. And it was a guy that had the moniker the Rhino because we said just could get impenetrable skin, but it's really painful. And he only does it when he has to, but he doesn't then turn into a fucking rhinoceros. I think we're more forgiving because it's more interesting. So, and I think it's more the execution. I think they couldn't divorce itself from the source material enough.
I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't seeing it. I know you guys enjoyed the performance, obviously, that this dude gave. I think he was awful. Personally, I don't know. That's
fair.
It was not there, and I don't think Aaron Taylor Johnson is over the. I actually didn't find him over the top in this. I thought he was fine. I just think he was just given shit dialogue to spew out. He was doing what he could with it. I give him that. I'm not killing him for this. How about the foreigner? Anybody know what his powers are?
He says
one,
two.
And that's it.
He was cool.
He can count.
Is he a I hate to sound like a casual here. I hate to sound like a casual.
He's the Count from Sesame Street.
But he's in the comic books, and these are his powers. I didn't look it up. What's the?
He's in the comic books. Guess what?
What?
He has no powers in the comic books. He's just like this. Like
he might not have powers here.
He apparently does because when he takes off his glasses, he starts counting, and then I think he just appears somewhere, or he puts people in a trance of some sort, or he stops time, or he's the Flash, or I don't really know what his powers are. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I know he can count to 2, and that's pretty much those are his powers. So if I start counting at you guys, 1.
Whoa. And he said
that was
what
crazy, right? That was wild, right? That was insane.
That was like Big Daddy Kane when he dropped the microphone on purpose.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, I'm over here. Jason's over there now. Let's see if we can do it again. Wait. 1. I'm back. Nice.
Jason, you gotta look to the side. We all gotta be like the Rock face, like to Ed.
Exactly.
He showed up.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, foreigner, but please explain to me, because I mean, do you guys got anything on the foreigner? Because I've already been. That's really all we actually know about the foreigner, by the way.
He
works for the Rhino, and he counts.
I really liked him. I thought he was cool. I never heard. Bro, I own like 500 Spider-Man comics, and I've read every single one of them. I've never run across this guy in my life.
Because if you read the comic, if you read any comics with the foreigner, he's not the Count.
He says 1, 2 while you're reading it, and then you forget about him.
Yeah.
He won.
You saw him on Sesame Street when you were younger. That's why.
But I thought he was cool. He's like the Purple Man to me. Like, I didn't like Purple Man either.
No.
I like Foreigner more than I like Purple Man.
I did get Purple Man vibes.
Lord. Yes.
Yeah.
Purple Man vibes.
Rick.
Yeah. Minus the great writing. Minus the great characterization.
I didn't make it past Jessica Jones season 1.
He was only in season 1. He died in the finale.
Doesn't matter. That's as much Jessica Jones I dealt with.
Yeah, but that's no excuse.
He
you saw
could
the
come
whole
back.
character's
It's
arc.
comic books. Everybody comes back.
But my point, Rick, is that he's never been
didn't
on screen again. You saw the whole arc.
He didn't do anything for me.
He was one of man.
Did you guys cover the series?
No, because we weren't around when that series was running.
Well, it existed. You guys covered mad shit that wasn't around when you guys were not around.
Well, I mean, once she
Not
becomes
TV.
canon again, officially, yeah, sure, we can probably dive into Jessica Jones if we wanted to, and the Netflix stuff. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't love Purple
inexplicable.
Man, but this guy reminded me of him.
If Purple Man,
this guy definitely reminded me of him.
Okay, sorry, Jason.
No, this guy definitely reminded me of him because Purple Man's isn't inexplicable. Purple Man's it's a power that he has with his voice. It's the reverberations that comes from his voice that hits your ear, and he has the ability to manipulate you. I mean, whatever. That's convoluted, but it's a fucking comic book. That's comic book convoluted.
Right.
This, I don't feel we got anything from here. I kind of inferred what his power was, but it was never said. Like, I kind of thought it was hypnosis.
Yeah.
Like, I think he just because the counting. Yeah, like he takes his things off, and he's got to have some superpower connect to the eye, and as he counts as a hypnosis thing, and then kind of you're frozen. He can do what he wants. It's not really explicitly said, and it should be. I actually think he's the weakest part of this movie, just because he's interesting. I liked him from what I got of him, but like he's not a character. He's a guy with superpowers who is, there to make sure there are stakes in that last fight.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, on one hand, when you've gotten Kilgrave in season 1 of Jessica Jones, who is probably, let's see, I would even venture to say top 5 to 10 MCU villain of the entire run so far.
Fuck yeah.
With easily.
Fuck yeah.
Late Taser
and
face
played by
is way
David
better.
Tennant.
No. Yeah, David Tennant playing him was so well written. No, yeah, that's bananas. That's Rick is always hated on Jessica Jones for some whatever reason
Taser
that
face.
is. But yeah, no,
Worst show ever made.
Yeah, that's not even close to.
Did you watch Iron Fist?
No. I'm just kidding. I made it through. I
was going to say,
one
do you own a
season.
streaming service at all? I mean, anyway.
Secret Wars I'd watch before Jessica Jones.
Secret Wars, as in the Avengers movie that has
No. What do you call it? The one everybody hates.
Secret Invasion?
Yes. I would watch that before Jessica Jones.
I would watch Jessica Jones backwards, then watch fucking Secret Invasion again. I would watch it backwards standing in my head before I ever watch Secret Invasion again. You were completely out of your mind. So we can move on from the foreignness, since basically it's just established he has inexplicable powers and nobody really knows what it is. So it's whatever. Dimitri, the Kraven's brother in this movie, who in the comics, they did get this right, is the chameleon. And they mention it leading up to it a couple of times, how he's really good at imitation and inflecting his voice and mimicking people. And then he goes to the mysterious doctor in New York, who I was actually waiting to be called Kurt Connors at some point.
Oh, that would be cool.
No, definitely wouldn't have. That would have been another laugh out loud moment for me.
But Kurt Connors exists in the Venomverse. Like, it would have linked a bunch of things.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, no, he doesn't. He's in Andrew Garfield's world. That's true.
Yeah, and in Tobey Maguire's, which we've been very clearly is not this one, whatever this is. And Madam Web apparently doesn't exist in this world either, so whatever. Doesn't matter.
Better universe for it.
Yeah, exactly. I actually thought he was probably the most interesting character of this entire movie was Dimitri. To be honest with you, his whole story arc with his father, his connection with his brother, he may have been the best part of this movie for me.
I can see that.
I'm with you. That's why I had him doing the heel turn.
I liked him.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Rick. I'm actually okay with the way it went down. Like, I thought gonna like do that, like, oh, he was behind it the whole time, but I I thought character wise, it was very interesting that he wasn't behind it, and he was pulled into this, and he is the weaker of them, which is a theme, right? Strength versus weakness, and because he goes through all of this, and it does tie back to Sergei leaving him with his father, and kind of says sorry, but I'm going, and so he's left with his father. He's the weaker one. He's the chameleon. His father's gone. I think it's a cool moment that, okay, no, he's a chameleon. He's become his father, right? And like, had he done the heel turn before the death of his father, and had he that violence that he was pulled into not been traumatizing and harrowing for him, I don't think the heel turn into the chameleon would have been as cool or as interesting, because again, I really feel that they were attempting to make this a character and make this an actual, like, oh, we're not just checking boxes, got to get like Spider-Man things in here. Like, we're going to try to give you a character that feels real turning to the chameleon. And whether it does or doesn't, that's a conversation. But I do personally like that he goes through all this shit that has nothing to do with him. And then at the end of it, decides that his father's dead. He's going to become his father. He's going to go to this doctor to get this strength, which is his strength, being a chameleon, quote unquote, like they say. And then at the end, he calls Sergei out like, no, you're also just like our father. We're both just like our father. And I thought that was interesting character stuff this movie was trying to do. So I was actually okay with the way it played out.
All right, yeah. I mean, again, yeah, I agree, and I kind of like his look at the end of the movie when it becomes like chameleon, comics accurate look. I thought was kind of cool, and part of it was he looked kind of cool. But then I was wondering, like, are you guys have the balls to think you're getting a second movie here for a minute? The way it was
no, there can't be a second movie. No,
listen,
Let's calm down,
Eddie. When you're flying off the cliff in the car, you're not thinking. You don't worry about a second movie.
Oh no, I think they were.
You're a legend already. You're a legend already.
No, I think they were fully on to a second movie if, like, the graces of God came down and touched this movie.
Let me toss something at you guys. What if there's no other Rhino in the movie? Kidnapping happens. Father gets killed. Dimitri's behind it all. Dimitri's the Rhino, and they have the big fight at the end.
So he's not the chameleon, which they keep telling you throughout the movie.
And he's not the chameleon. He's the Rhino, and he fights Kraven at the end.
No,
I think that would have saved the storyline.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I wouldn't like that, because that's Morbius. Morbius is about two brothers, one weak, one strong. And I hated fucking Morbius. I would have been like, this is cribbing from a movie I already hate.
By the way, I will say there is one thing, by the way, before I forget. There are, but just to touch base on Kraven, because we definitely need to get Calypso next. Calypso.
Well, who do we got to get? I'm sorry. Is it Calypso?
Calypso?
I didn't.
Calypso.
Rick, did you hear that? Who do you got to get, Rick? You're the only one that said it yet.
I didn't make that out.
Calypso, I heard.
Calypso.
Calypso.
When Kraven gets his powers and he like kind of has to get like rejuvenated and stuff like that, and they show the hand going through the grass and everything like that again, and knowing that Russell Crowe is in this movie, and that we just had a Gladiator sequel, I mean, I couldn't help, and I laughed also when I saw this. I mean, you were definitely ripping off from direct shots from Gladiator when that was happening. And I was literally covered my mouth because I was laughing again. I'm like, this is definitely not happening. There's no way. There's no way that they're doing this. But no, they are. And that was...
They paid for Russell Crowe. Doesn't that mean they get to rehash his old shit?
No.
That's what they paid for.
So why doesn't
What the
his-
fuck? So I put Mike Tyson. I put Mike Tyson in a movie, and I can't have a boxer in a movie. Like,
Yeah, so then I guess
It's-
in another scene, they should have had Frank White involved in this movie where he was running around and like a competitor to like Ryan to fucking Kraven's father. Maybe we'll go down that route. Is that where we're gonna go? And like he's a father in a comic book movie, and he was a
pick and
father
choose.
to the son of Jarrell.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And then he was the tinkerer when he had a beautiful mind.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
Hey, wait. When Kraven was getting his powers, it was very beautiful mindish. Like with
there
the
you go.
yeah,
There you
the woman talking and the fucking
Yeah.
visuals.
Jesus. Let's talk about Calypso. All right, let's get to Calypso here.
Calypso?
Yeah. I'll let you guys. So what are your thoughts on Calypso? Because I mean I'm pretty sure you guys know where I'm going with it. So go ahead. Whoever wants to start.
All right. I know there's a character called Calypso in the comic.
Yep.
I don't remember who she is or what she does. I felt this was convenience the character. It's convenience, like, and I'm not even talking about like how she brings them back. Whatever. That's the grandmother. We don't know why the grandmother puts her on that, but I can't say that she's just convenienced the character because of that. But I like everything else. Like, she's the one who says, well, you keep being the hunter and they're going to get your family. And then of course they're pulling his brother right away. And then it just so happens that she is really well versed in using bows and arrows, and I'm okay with that. I wish we would have seen that. Like, we had this 20-minute flashback where she was in the fucking Serengeti. Why didn't I see her wield a fucking crossbow or a bow and arrow? Why didn't I see her doing something with a bow and arrow, which then could have paid off when she kills the foreigner, right? Like,
Yep.
It just like she sees the bow and arrow and goes, I went to camp. And then she's the one who kills him. Bit too convenient. I needed to see. You gave me a 20-minute flashback in the Serengeti. Show me her fucking playing with a bow and arrow, and I'll way more believe it. So she was something I had an issue with.
Rick?
So, what was the character's name again? The one we're talking
Let me check notes.
Oh,
Calypso.
Calypso?
Calypso. Right, Calypso.
Yeah.
So Calypso, very convenient. Earlier, you were mentioning like the rhinos in his own movie. Calypso is really in her own fucking movie. I guarantee they shot like 20 hours of extra footage that explains her whole backstory and how she became this archer and how she like is actually like creating the fucking serums herself, and she's very in the know, and she's all of these things for this fully formed character that's always ready. She was really out of place. She was probably for me the really out of place character in the whole film because they didn't spend any time on her. It was like Calypso, Calypso, Calypso. Here's some magic juice. And then she gets rid of the magic juice, and then she shoots a guy in the face.
She's in this movie for absolutely no reason, just to be convenient. Basically, it's like when we need the plot to try to advance, we're gonna just have Calypso show up. When we need things to happen, Calypso, we're just gonna throw her in, and we're gonna make sure we mention her name, just so we remind you who she is.
Because we're trying to sell toys.
Yes, but
did they even release the toy line to this movie?
I don't even want to know. Like,
no,
I'm gonna buy it.
Everybody.
In Mexico, they did.
This, yeah, she's another character who, again, you could take out of this movie, and maybe it makes it better, because then maybe you can get back to, instead of animal lion blood mixed with Calypso magical powers, like juice that she's given from her mom or liquid, whatever the hell it was.
You could have just had the grandmother give him the juice.
No, that's it. He gets it. He takes the herbal
Yes.
thing, like again, and that's it from Africa in his homeland, and that's it. Boom, done. I'm good. We can do that. They were just like, hey, we got this list of characters we have the rights to that have something to do with Spider-Man. So let's start going ahead and making sure we use as many as possible. Right?
Sell more toys.
We got Foreigner, we got Calypso, we've got the Rhino, because the Rhino should fight Kraven, right? Because Kraven looks like he hunts things. So let's make sure we get the Rhino in this movie. Ooh, yeah. That sounds like a good right thing. Come on.
We had so many
and
Spider-Man characters, one movie.
Yeah, so we'll just jam them all in because none of them are going to ever see Spider-Man again.
And if they really wanted Calypso to work in this, she should have been the pilot. Because we have this inexplicable pilot
not.
that...
You're right.
Yes.
No, and when I was first watching it, I was like, oh, okay, does she become the pilot? But then no, the pilot lets him off, and he's like, all right, I got to do some Kraven shit in the Serengeti. I got to hunt for some salmon and eat it. But like, the pilot isn't a character, but the pilot is like Deus Ex Machina. Whenever he needs to do something, the pilot's there. And Calypso isn't necessarily a character. Again, Deus Ex Machina, when he needs to survive, she's there twice.
Yes.
With the thing. Like, make them the same character. Why make it where she became a lawyer and they don't know each other? How about no, he tracked her down. They both have shared interests and shared goals.
Oh, no, but Rick, Jason, you forgot.
Don't name her, minimize her, and make it a 120-minute movie.
You can't possibly.
A 90-minute, like a 90-minute movie.
I know you
don't
mean.
name her,
hour and a half.
Minimize her, make it an hour and a half movie.
You can never minimize Calypso.
Calypso?
Stop. You don't ever minimize Calypso. Because Calypso.
Yeah, no, Calypso can't be minimized.
Calypso's there to Calypso. Okay.
But if she Calypsos, can she Calypso?
Calypso can definitely Calypso, and Calypso is there to Calypso when Kraven needs her to Calypso. And that's it. So basically, we've established that this movie has two characters that are there that also both convenience the character one, convenience the character two. Correct?
Yeah, I agree.
Calypso.
Okay. It's making notes, Calypso.
I'm about to Calypso all over the grave of the Sony universe. We're almost done with this conversation. I'm about to do it.
Thankfully, this movie has no mid-credit scene, no post-credit scene. Neither one of them.
That is nice.
Present, so you can skip your time with that. All right. So, two things we should get to before we wrap this up. Number one. Rick, actually. I'll start with Rick because I know Jason's answer already. We'll get him in a minute. Rick, would you recommend this movie to somebody to pay? Like, they're going to pay their hard-earned money, like $20-something bucks to watch this movie?
It depends.
Depends on what. If you like them or not?
Is marijuana legal in their state?
Wow. So you're saying... So,
I feel like that is a like delineating effect on this film.
Okay, fine.
So if you live in California, yeah, you should watch this movie. If you live in Massachusetts, yes, you should watch this movie. If you live in New York City, yes, you should watch this movie. If you live in, I don't know, where is it not legal?
I don't know. I thought you were going to know. That's where I thought you were going with that. For
Utah. Nothing's legal in Utah.
If you live in Utah, maybe you don't watch this movie.
Okay. So you're saying somebody who has access to weed, do they also need a beer
legally?
Too? Do they also
has access to cannabis?
Do they also need a beer after they've smoked before?
They need a beer during. The children call it crossfading. And I would definitely suggest crossfading before watching this movie.
Oh my God. So paying full price while crossfading is what you recommend. That's your recommendation for seeing this movie. If you don't.
Yeah, so enjoy this movie, you're going to spend at least $30.
I think you're going to spend more than that, my friend, because if the ticket's about $20, and then you're paying for a beer in a theater, which I saw you pay $14 for a beer, so we're at $34 right now, and I don't know, actual medical legal marijuana. How much can we get that for?
Who knows? You live in California; it's recreational. So
California.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Actually, Ed, we live in New York. It's also recreational.
Yes, exactly. It's legal here. So just give me a price, guys. Give me a quick price. Because we're at $34 to watch this movie already.
$40. You only need $5 worth of weed. You don't need more than that.
Okay. So you feel this is a $40 movie, Rick?
Yeah. If you had a joint and a big beer, like an IPA, like a strong IPA, you'll enjoy this film.
Like a 20%.
You might take a nap. You might take a nap in the middle of it, but you'll be fine.
Oh, all right. Strong recommendation, Rick. I can see that you definitely endorse this movie. Jason, I heard your recommendation for it. Are you standing by this? Do you need all these other additions to the film as well?
Look, they don't hurt. I mean, they certainly don't hurt. But what I'm going to say is this: should you pay full price for this movie? Fuck no. If you can get,
we're all on board.
If you can,
Rick, you said full price with additions. You're at a $40 movie.
I'm good.
Jason's like at $5.
No, I'm not cutting Jason off. I'm agreeing with him. I'm going on a Tuesday or a Saturday.
Wow, right. I'm sorry.
Go like Ed. You said there's like a $5 Tuesdays that they fucking do. Yeah. Do that, yeah. Like don't pay full price for this movie. Pay but if you can pay partial price and see it in the theater, I would say do it. Which is a hell of a lot more than I said about any of these other Sony movies that we reviewed. I actually think I said about every Sony movie, with the exception of Venom 2, that I'd rather let fucking someone punch me in the face than watch them again. Like, honestly, Rick, if I was given a choice that Rick would have to either watch all of these movies again, or for every one I bow out of, Rick gets to punch me in the face, I'm still only watching this and Venom 2. Venom 2 only because it's the unofficial sequel to Natural Born Killers. Outside of that, I'm letting Rick punch me in the face. So what I'm saying is pay $5, don't let Rick punch you in the face, and see this movie on the
Now, does it require some inebriation prior, or no? You're saying someone sober can pay $5 and enjoy this movie?
I mean, look, how drunk could I have? I wasn't drunk. I didn't drink at all. I came right from work. Yeah. So actually, no, I came sober. I came right from work. There was no opportunity for me to. I tried, man. I tried to hustle so I get a quick pint in before I met you guys, but I couldn't. And I was sober, and I enjoyed what I saw. But again, if you're going in thinking this is a Kraven the Hunter movie from Spider-Man with characters called the Rhino, it's not. So, abandon expectations, pay less, get stoned or drunk if you can, but I don't think it's necessary.
All right. And Rick, you just before I state mine, you're at $5 inebriated?
No.
You'd be saving that person $15. All right, so you're still at a $40 movie. Okay.
Yeah, $40 movie here.
Okay.
But you're gonna be happy. Yeah, you'll be happy.
I say you take that $40.
You turn that bitch sideways.
Turn it. No.
Shine it up real nice.
Yeah, Tony, you should take that $40. Shine that sumbitch up real good. Turn it sideways and shove it straight up your candy ass. You should not pay for this movie at all, especially full price. $5, I would say $5 you should pay for this if you don't have any kind of unlimited pass and you've already seen the other movies in this franchise. You might as well just finish it off at that point and just see where it goes from here. Because I think if you enjoyed the 3 Venom movies, you might like this movie. You might find it enjoyable. Right?
Agreed.
Even though, Jason, I know you did not like the Venom movies. I think you might find it enjoyable because it is better. Yeah, if you liked Madam Web, or if you liked Morbius,
Stick your head in
you
the
want-
oven with
yeah,
the
you want to know
gas
something?
on.
You want to know something?
No,
You absolutely should pay full price for this movie because you deserve it.
fuck yeah.
That's why you deserve it.
If you like those movies, this is your Citizen Kane.
Yes, I can agree with that. If like myself, if you did not like the Venom movies and you have disliked all 5 of the previous Sonyverse Spider-Man Spider-Man movies, you should only see this if you have Regal Unlimited. And that's probably it. Pay your 50 cents convenience charge and move on with your day.
Go watch Werewolves.
Yeah, actually, that's true. The recommendation is you should see something else with your time because you're not going to get that back. See Werewolves. Gladiator.
Frank Grillo's Wolverine in Werewolves. So
it is. He
cool.
is in a couple of scenes. He does audition for Wolverine in this movie, even though he auditioned for Punisher in The Purge. I don't know. It's pretty bad. I can't say that based on the curve that we've ranked it on, that's where we're at. Sonyverse movies, yeah, it's probably closer to the top, but I also am someone who has disliked all of them tremendously. So for various reasons, because this movie also gives me the vibes of Venom, because part of my dislike for the Venom movies is, besides them just being really dumb and mostly boring, is that this is not the character that I am familiar with, and this movie's existence robs me for him interacting with Spider-Man. This movie does the same thing because one of the movies, for the time being, but one of the things is the movie I wanted to see live action is a Kraven's Last Hunt movie, and because of the existence of this movie, I'm being robbed of that. So for that, I say, Sony, go fuck yourself. So that's where I'm at.
Fair enough. And where I'm at with this is, Eddie, let's blow off the rest of the show and pick up a Korean woman, an older one who works at the store near us. Eddie.
Or it could be, Eddie, let's go see Kraven the Hunter tonight on opening night. Oh, Eddie. Let's go have a few beers and smoke them and go watch Kraven the Hunter. Oh,
Eddie,
my God.
let's do shrooms and watch Kraven the Hunter.
Exactly. That's the crazy thing Eddie Venom Voice is telling us to do this week. Yeah. And guess what? Having all the things I've said, I would recommend it over Joker Fale Doo. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Jason, Rick,
so
if we went back in time to September, now let's just say August, and we were doing a show saying, hey, which movie are you most looking forward to? Kraven the Hunter, Venom the Last Dance, or Joker Fale Doo? What do you think we would have walked away with saying? Without question.
Oh, I have answered that, and I was looking forward to Joker Fale Doo.
And you would have been like, man, that's going to be way better than those other 2 pieces of shit.
I grabbed the poster on the way into the first showing in Florida. I have 2 of the posters. I grabbed one for Eddie. I have the other ones like folded. I'm going to send it to you now.
You better use that as toilet paper when you're fucking run out in your house.
No,
Rick, don't send that to Eddie. Let us use it to smoke the biggest joint we can roll.
I'm gonna get a Louis Soto baseball card. I'm gonna wrap it in this Joker fucking thing and give it to Eddie.
Wow.
That's gonna be my thank you for his hospitality this week.
Wow.
Maybe I'll frame it.
Rick, by the way,
Jason,
you want to tell Rick?
Haven't you seen Troll 2? Don't you know you don't piss on hospitality?
Jason, you want to tell Rick what happened during the trailers yesterday?
Oh, we saw the preview for the most anticipated movie of Ed's life 28 years later.
Oh, they had the trailer. I missed it. I showed up right when the movie started.
Jason's reaction was
I actually-
hilarious.
I was like that kind of looks good. I
Rick, I threw something at the fucking screen in the beginning of the trailer.
Oh yeah.
And Jason turned to me and was like, what?
Yes. It actually literally threw garbage at the screen. I went, did you just throw that at the screen? He went, yes, I did.
Oh, man. Okay.
I gotta look that up. Now I'm sad I showed up right at game time.
Well, that's what you get.
I would have liked to see that.
As some other movie said, you get what you fucking deserve.
That movie.
That
movie said it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. So, that wraps it up for us this week. Thank you, as always, for joining us. If you joined the Sunday Facebook live stream, be sure to check out Granny's PhD's Facebook group, because that's where we share a bunch of our articles and stories and other crap that doesn't make the show. So it's a lot of fun. Check us out there. Check out popculturepros.com, because that's who we are presented by. And if you are into other stuff, like if you're into football or other movies and stuff like that, and wrestling and stuff, we got all that stuff for you. And if you check this out on your audio-only podcast, subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. Jason, we'll be back not this upcoming Sunday, but the following Sunday, PCP Deep Dive.
Next Sunday, we are PCP Deep Dive. We're getting very close to the end of our Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective. We are about to go into Freddy versus Jason, right? That's what we're up to.
Ooh,
yes.
Wow.
That's right.
Almost
a good one.
A movie. Yeah. It's a good one. It's a movie I actually for sure saw in the theater with Ed, with Tim. Rick, were you there? I know we saw it with like 20 people. Like it was crazy.
I think everyone we knew was there. Yeah, Rick may have been there. There's a good chance that happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we were rolling real deep that night. But that was so. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. I haven't watched that movie in a while. We're gonna revisit that. It's gonna be Ed, Ginny, myself, and Papa Tim, Big Papa Tim. I'm gonna start calling him that. He's gonna hate it, but I'm gonna call him that, Big Papa Tim. But yeah, join us not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, 8:30.
Yeah. We will be back next week talking about episode 4 of Creature Commandos. And we're not going to actually let ourselves get away with the final Crow movie, because we kind of do the scheduling. We pushed up Kraven and we pushed back the Crow Wicked Prayer. We'll even find out if it was better than Kraven. Who knows? I don't know.
Wicked Prayer.
Yo, that's a wicked prayer you got there, Ed.
No, I don't think I've ever even heard of that one.
The Edward Furlong starring one with Danny Trejo and Tara Reid and David Boreanaz. Yeah.
I might have missed that. I might have one missing in my Crow encyclopedia.
Well,
crazy.
You did yourself a favor, probably.
I don't know. I might have to find it tonight. Yeah, I might have to find it tonight after we end up. And that might be my nightcap.
Well, maybe you should, to join your nightcap, you should go to the local store. Because I think in the iced tea aisle and stuff like that, they use this drink that used to be called Calypso.
Ah, what was it? What was the name of it again? I didn't quite get that. Did you say Calypso?
Yeah, I think I did. And we will all Calypso.
Eddie, let's go. Eddie, let's go buy some Calypso and add rum to it. Let's get
We'll Calypso you next week. Calypso.